Good morning. Just put in the work again. I didn't end up needing to work yesterday, so that was a nice, pleasant surprise. So I ended up getting a longer weekend than I wanted. I did call in on Sunday. I wasn't feeling too well, but, doesn't hurt to have that extra time to recover, because it wouldn't have been a nice day anyway. Wouldn't have been very productive for me. So, let's see. The topic that I would have for today would probably be about mental health and the importance of exercise. So, this morning, I exercised, and it's not a super intense exercise or anything, It's nowhere near how I used to exercise. I used to be, addicted to the pump, I used to love it. I used to crave it. As soon as I finished and relaxed, I felt like I needed to do more. It's exercise is healthy, but you need to give yourself those break periods. Too much can be a problem. You need to have those recovery periods, just like with your mental health. The exercise, even though it was a minor one, it's a nice activity. It's productive, and then there's that rush that it's like, yeah, I did it. I showed up for myself today. That's how I look at it, and I'm ready to go to work now. I've got more energy. I'm more limber. I'm more relaxed. I feel like today's gonna be a decent day, even though it's gloomy, because we have a rain threat for right now for a few more hours at least, but that's okay, because we actually need the rain. It's been pretty dry. Usually we rely on all the snow, but luckily last year it wasn't too much. It was still a lot, but it wasn't as much as it usually is. The last couple of years have been odd for winter. But let's see. Weather, it comes and goes. What are you gonna do about it? The mental health and exercise link is kind of like how mood and food is. So it adds that feeling of discipline. It adds that structure in your life. It's a step. It's something that you completely control. It's up to you if you want to exercise. It's not up to someone else. It's up to you what you put in your body for food, not to someone else. By all means, you need to be reading the ingredients. If you read the ingredients and take all that into account before you eat something, which I'll get into this as an example here, then it's on you. It's not on the manufacturer. But last night I was laying in bed, and I didn't have the healthiest stuff at all. So I ended up eating a lot extra, because I was just home all day and it was raining. You know what I mean? I mowed the yard right before the rain started to come down, and so I was stuck inside, and I just wanted to snack and eat stuff. I ended up buying ice cream. Had a big bowl of ice cream. I had some stuff in there. There's some matcha cake that I made that it's kind of going stale, so I was trying to eat that, and I was laying in bed, and I could feel my heart just and I wasn't even doing anything. I wasn't exercising, but my body was screaming, and I'm just like, oh my God, I did this, all this stuff. It keeps me just feeling depressed, and I just, you know what I mean? The screaming inside. Where it's like, this sucks. You did it to yourself. Why did you do that? You knew you'd feel like crap. You're risking your health. You're too young to have this issue. You're too young to be worried about your heart like that, and I really took it to heart, man. No pun intended, because that's a good reminder that cheat meal, or that one thing, that dessert or whatever, that could very well be what kills you. There's people that have passed away with not funny, but ironic causes, like diabetes. If you're diabetic, why are you eating ice cream? Why are you eating cookies? What's wrong with you? If you know what I mean, like, don't do that. If you are lactose intolerant, why are you drinking milk? Why are you eating cereal? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? It's our fault. It's not the food industry. It's not the manufacturers. You can blame them if there's no way around it, and there are ways around it, and you just have to inconvenience yourself a little bit. And exercise is an inconvenience. It is, in a way, but it's a necessary one for your mental health, because I am very clear of mind right now. I feel very relaxed right now before I go into work, and that's how I need to be. If I go to work stressed and ready for a fight, then guess what? I'm going to take that inside. I'm going to have that with me all day, and that's just going to get worse. Because being in my field of profession, there are always people that want to press your buttons every single day because they're having a rough day or whatever the reasons, where it's just, you're messing with me because you believe you're miserable right now. And I have to have that self-control enough to not blow up on them. You know what I mean? And I have to remind myself it's not your fault that they're in the boat that they're in. It's their fault they're on the boat they're in. It's their fault that their behavior sucks, not yours. And that's no excuse for you to have the same mirror behavior. You know what I mean? And when it comes to the mood and food part, eating healthy at first seems like a chore. It sucks, and I know it. But once that becomes your habit and you're putting down those Chips Ahoy cookies or not getting that ice cream anymore, you're not having any of that in your home anymore, you will lose the cravings for it. It'll go away. You'll start feeling good because you're eating good and you're actually taking control of what's going in your body. Like rice and beans, for instance. There's lots of diets out there, and one of them is keto or carnivore. There's two unique ones, and I really like those. Those are the ones. The keto one especially was the one that I did it worked amazing for me. And this isn't like a everyone needs to do keto thing. There are lots of diets that all work, but not for everybody. That's why everybody needs to find what works for you. Like low carb, rice and beans. You can't have that, okay? Most of the world eats rice and beans, and they don't have these problems. You have complications with carbohydrates and things like that if you're sedentary, don't exercise, and you eat sugars and processed junk on top of it. Because with the issues of those, the body struggles to handle things like carbohydrates, fats, like cholesterol. That is like a monster in the closet to a lot of doctors, and it's like, no, your body handles cholesterol. It's the other complications that cause that to be an issue. It's the unhealthy eating. It's the eat lots of oatmeal, eat lots of cereal. You're literally making people diabetic with that advice. Don't be stupid. You know what I mean? Like, that stuff is okay if you're, like, let's say you're a hiker. You're going to want that stuff with you. You're going to want carbohydrates. You're going to need that quick energy, My thoughts on the mental health side is the more clear you are, the more structured your life is, the more sure-footed you're going to find, yourself. Things are going to make more sense. You're going to be able to handle more. My mental health, so to speak, has been through some bumps, you know what I mean? But I'm doing okay. And I really do believe you don't need a therapist. You know what I mean? Like, you just need to find what your problem is and fix it. Stop throwing what little money you have away to somebody that pretends to care about you. And I'm not trying to knock on therapists, But I think there's a lot of scammer ones out there where they pretend to care about people suffering, and that's wrong. You shouldn't do that to people. That just makes it worse. Rather than fixing the problem, they want you coming back because that's a guaranteed check. You know what I mean? And I've met some good ones, off duty. I haven't seen any therapists through a needy way. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need therapy. But I really wish there's some people close to me that understood that. It's like, nope, you don't need to see a therapist. You need to talk to your family. You're in a relationship. The person that you can confide in the most is right next to you. Like, life is a lot simpler than people make it. Like, the world is here, and I've said this a lot. The world is here, and you're in it. Every action you do makes a difference somewhere at some point for some period of time. You know what I mean? It's completely up to us to how the world is. I'm just kind of rambling at this point, but when it comes to mental health and food, like, we control those completely. If you're stressed and distracted all the time, put your phone away. Turn the TV off. Stop listening to the radio crap. Get outside. You know what I mean? Like, remove those things from your life. If you have attention problems, don't look at a screen then. That stuff's designed to keep your attention short, to keep you focused on stuff that's not important, to keep you on something. Someone that's completely out of that loop, and I've been there before, and it's an incredible feeling. There was a period where I went just a few years ago, and when I was a child, it was involuntary. But a few years ago, about 4.5 at this point, I think 4.5. There was a period of 7 weeks, I didn't watch anything on TV, didn't listen to anything, hardly took my phone with me, didn't even do anything on a screen or a device. And that was the calmest I have ever been in my life. That was the calmest, most at peace I have ever been. And it's such an amazing difference that being away from these things right here did for me. Getting outside in nature, I was spurred into just going out and actually being in the world. Really, really being in it. And I want to recapture that, I really do. And hopefully I can find a way to like film that, because it's kind of an interesting issue, because how do I get away from all the screens if I have to have one with me, you know what I mean? And I could buy a camera, but I can't really afford a camera right now. Going through some financial stuff like everybody, but anyway, I have to go to work now. Kind of got all rambly towards the end, but get a routine that's healthy. Start your day off right. You don't need to eat if you're not hungry. You don't need to drink coffee if you don't want coffee. Start your day off correctly, Do some form of exercise. Have something to drink. Spend some time with your dogs if you got them, cats, whatever pet you have. Do some stretches. Look out the window. Go outside if you can, Then start your day, Be prepared to start your day so it doesn't seem heavy. But, alright, I'm going to let y'all go. Till the next one.